well, good afternoon, everybody, and a heartfelt welcome from the Department of Business and Tourism. Before we begin our very exciting panel on the accreditation in business, I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. MSVU is located on Shabuktuk, Halifax, part of the Mi'kma'ki, the unceded ancestral territory, which remains the homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. This territory is covered by the covenant chain of treaties of peace and friendship signed between 1725 and 1779. These treaties are affirmed by the Supreme Court of Canada and recognized Aboriginal title, which is embedded in both the 1763 Royal Proclamation and in Section 35, Subsection 1 of the 1982 Constitution Act. The treaties are living agreements that establish the rules for an ongoing treaty relationship between nations. We pay respect to the knowledge embedded in the Mi'kmaq custodians of the lands and waters, and to the elders past, present, and future. Thank you very much for being with us here today, and we wanted to welcome everybody in addition to our panelists that we will hear from in just a few moments. My name is Nick. I'm an assistant professor of management within the Department of Business and Tourism, and I am delighted to be your moderator for today. And I will do my absolute best to be in my very best behavior. That's very tall order, but we'll see what happens. Miriam had mentioned that this event is Learning Passport eligible. So just a reminder that the survey will open for 48 hours after the panel discussion ends. Unless you are taking notes or translating, please refrain from using your cell phone at this time. If there is a time at the end of our discussion today, we will give an opportunity for you to ask our esteemed panelist a question. Those of you who are joining us online, we welcome you as well. And you can put all of your questions in the chat box, and we will try our very best to get to them. Before we begin, I would like to simply remark that it's wonderful to see a great group here in person and online, where we are going to talk about your professional journey. Whether you're majoring in accounting, management, strategic human resource management, or you are simply here to learn more, your time at the Mount is preparing you for a dynamic and rewarding career. One of the key ways to set yourself apart in today's competitive job market is by pursuing a professional designation or belonging to a professional association like the Halifax Chamber of Commerce. But what does that look like? How do you get started? And what resources are available to support you along the way? That's exactly what we are here today to explore. Today's panel will bring together representatives from chartered professionals in human resources, Nova Scotia, the Chartered Professional Accountants, Nova Scotia, Certified in Management Maritime Chapter, and the Halifax Chamber of Commerce. These are professional organizations that play a crucial role in shaping professional standards, advancing career development, and providing invaluable networking opportunities. And as a business and tourism student here at the Mount, you are already a member of the Halifax Chamber of Commerce, which means that you have access not only to today's panel and the wealth of knowledge that will be shared here, but also a vibrant network of business leaders, potential mentors, and career building opportunities. This is your chance to ask questions, to gain insight, and to start thinking about how these partnerships and accreditation will benefit you now and in your professional future. Without further ado, I'd like to begin our round of questions. And we like to keep this sort of, semi-structured. We like the back and forth and the banter. So let's get started. I'd like to ask Julia to kick us off with our first question, and then we'll just go down here from Nick and then down onward. So the first question is, if you could please introduce yourself, your organization, and explain its role in supporting professionals in Nova Scotia.
Yes. So hi, everybody. I'm Julia. I'm kind of battling the end of a cold. So sorry if my voice is a bit raspy, but I work in membership services at the Chamber, the Halifax Chamber. So my role is connecting businesses and helping them through the process of their membership. And what was the The importance in Nova Scotia?
Explain the role in supporting professionals in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, so the Chamber is all about advocacy for small business. Now, like he said, you're all Chamber members under the MSVU membership. So you guys get access to the same benefits that maybe a large business who pays much more to be part of the Chamber. So it's all about connectivity, supporting professionals in career growth, and just helping you navigate the landscape of business in Nova Scotia.
That's wonderful. Nick, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
There we go. So I'm Nick Bainan. I'm the CEO of CPHR Nova Scotia. It's the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources. Everyone loves a good story. Here's a funny story how I fell into it. So my friend, his father was doing quite well for himself, and he bought himself a convertible. And I was young and impressionable at this age. And so he picked me up for one night out, and we got in the car and we're driving down the road, and it's a nice summer night, and my hair's blowing what little I have, the length anyways. And I was really impressed by this. And I said, "What does your dad do?" He just said, "Human resources." That's it. I mean, that was it. Just a convertible car, and I locked in a human resources career for the rest of my life. But in all seriousness, it's been a blast. It's a fantastic profession to get into if you have any interest in people, which I think most of us do. And maybe you sign up for, economics 101, and you're like, there's a lot of numbers in here. I'd rather do the people side of it. Just figuring out how people how they tick and how to motivate them, get them engaged in workplaces to create fantastic workplaces. Human resources is fantastic for that. And I think what it doesn't get a lot of recognition for, and I'll tell you that this is all false. There's a myth out there. It rewards well. Every company walking around has a poster somewhere in their office saying their number one asset is their people. And who's taking care of their people is the human resources department. So human resources gets paid. The compensation for that profession is quite good. The extrinsic, but the intrinsic too. I mean, nothing feels better than going home and knowing you've helped an immigrant come to Canada and you've given them a fantastic career, or you've given someone a promotion, or you've helped them with some career planning. So it's very rewarding in that way. And what do we do? I think was the last part.
Support professionals in Nova Scotia.
So how do we support professionals? Well, there's a boring side of the story, which I'll touch on, but it's important, and so it's advocacy, which our members aren't thrilled. Like it's not the thing that excites them. But when the government is trying to make changes on, let's say, employment insurance, they're not the experts. They look for HR professionals, so they knock on our door, and we put a committee together. So we're hugely influential in government decisions, things like that. Not super exciting. Way more exciting is we give our members a massive leg up on the competition when we give them the designation. I've got numbers here, but basically, I was talking about rewarding. It's a very rewarding career. $77,000 is the average salary for a HR manager. When we give them the designation, it jumps to $96,000. So it pays to be a member, almost to the tune of $20,000.
It's wonderful.
That's the more exciting part.
No, that's great. Megan, I often tell my students that even accountants have to work with people. Okay, so I would love for you to introduce yourself, your organization, and explain your role in supporting the wonderful people, the professionals, accounting professionals in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Megan. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and I actually work for MNP. I'm a manager in our audit and assurance practice, and I can tell you, we do work with people a lot.
Thank you.
So we're kind of dealing head on with the client. And especially this time of year, it's our busiest time of year with all the tax deadlines. But a little bit about the organization. So the actual CPA organization. So there's Chartered Professionals of Nova Scotia, which would be the reporting body that as a full member of CPA that you report to each year. There's certain professional development hours that you have to get each year, and they put on different courses and like webinars, that kind of stuff, to be able to meet your hours if the place you work doesn't provide those. And then as like additional supports for full members, there's a lot of job postings up there, volunteer opportunities, especially to volunteer on boards. Mm-hmm. And they also have like a members like discount area and like that sort of stuff. And then the other thing too is, as a CPA candidate, so that's when you're a student actually going through the CPA program. You're not a full CPA yet, you're just a candidate. You would actually be doing your schooling through the CPA Atlantic School of Business. So it's a bit separate from just the governing body. It's its own school. And as far as I know, the supports in that area, it kind of depends on what where you decide to work. Sometimes if you're in industry, the CPA, they will actually provide you with a mentor for while you're going through the program. And you know, hopefully, and there's different networking opportunities for you to connect with other students. And then if you were going through a firm, like quite a few people do, the own individual firm typically has its pool of resources, like the time off for your exams and financial compensation for the courses. You go through with a group, like there's different levels of supports depending on kind of where you're at.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Belinda, I feel like our paths are finally meeting. This is, yes, we've been associated on LinkedIn and all kinds of other things sort of concurrently, but never together. So it's a privilege to have you. So could you introduce yourself, your organization CIM, and explain its role in supporting professionals in the region?
Certainly. My name is Belinda, and I am the chapter chair of the Maritime chapter of CIM / Chartered Managers of Canada. In recent years, the Canadian Institute of Management, CIM, has rebranded itself to Chartered Managers of Canada. Nothing really has changed about our mission and vision and values. It's just they changed the name slightly to be more representative of what our goal and our mission is. Professionally, I work in the healthcare sector for the past 30 plus years. I'm aging myself, and I am a business manager at Nova Scotia Health in the Halifax region. So Chartered Managers of Canada is a designation granting organization. We have a certificate in management program. We have a certified supervisory management program, as well as the chartered manager designation. Our primary focus as an organization is to promote management as a profession, because there's lots of professional organizations, CPA, for example, that are very specific to the roles which those folks have in an organization, but within every organization, there are managers and there are leaders. So management isn't always about just having a manager title. Everybody is a leader, and our goal is to provide avenues for people to develop those skills, those leadership skills that can drive their career into management, director, business ownership, into other streams of their professions, being if they, many of our members are also masters of business administrations, are also accountants. Our focus is driving management as a profession within itself, to be able to support other educational avenues that people take to promote their career. The nice thing about our organization is that our accredited programs, you have membership, the ability to become a member without having a degree, and membership for our accredited members is free, which is nice, which gives you the opportunity to have access to a wealth of resources around management, including peer leadership, other programming and membership perks, lots and I mean, I can't even tell you how much information there is there if you really want to dive into the resources that are available as a member of CIM. So that is our main driver. And I think it is part of our support, how we support you as a member is by providing that information, that library of tools to use and to tap into and to be there to support you through your career. And it's also a way to have a recognized internationally, our designations are recognized globally all over the world, and we have reciprocity agreements with the Chartered Manager Association in the US and in the UK. So we have lots of, wherever you go in the world, your designations are recognized. So that's our thing, is to really drive that highest level of professional management and leadership competency in our members.
Thank you. Thank you. And welcome to all of our panelists. Thank you so much for that. Sort of jumping off this idea about becoming a member in your organization, Nick, I'll turn it over to you. It's time to spotlight CPHR Nova Scotia and the key benefits of becoming a member. And how does accreditation impact career growth? You spoke about the financial impact, but you can speak to any point in that area.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nick. So first off, let me start off with the price, because I think you'll like the price, especially for everyone in the room or online. So for the professionals, they're paying about $400, $500, depending on where they are on their pursuit to the designation. For students, though, zero. So I'm going to, over the course of the next little bit, I'll probably be talking about all these cool things that we offer, and it costs you nothing. So you can register today, and you've got zero risk. So what do you get out of that? We do have a lot of free events. We have, since the world's gone very virtual, we've got endless supplies of webinars. Those are typically free. We have some larger events like a law conference. We have an awards event later this week, and members get those for pretty deeply discounted rates. And, I think when you're thinking about your career and you're thinking about your first few interviews, your employer's going to look at you and see how engaged are you in this community that, like, let's say you do pursue human resources. Your employer is going to see how engaged you are, and just by merely having a membership with the association is a great answer for that question. Like, how can you stay involved and engaged while I'm a member? I mean, hopefully it's more than that. You are engaged and you're reading our newsletters, which is informing you on, upcoming legislation changes or trends in the industry. So that looks great on your resume. So it gives you a solid answer in an interview. But as far as the accreditation piece goes, despite, it's not just about the money side too. I think there's something about belonging to something bigger than yourself. You would be part of a community, right? So there's a CPHR community, and it's not just yourself. You're giving back. You're giving opportunities to mentor others, or to be a protege, to be mentored by someone else. And that the designation, when you walk into an interview or you walk into a room and you say, I am an HR professional, that designation basically, it tells the employer that you've met a rigorous standard. It's not something we just hand out. You've met a threshold, right? So there's two parts to it. I won't get into it's a little, we probably don't have time today. Well, we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'll just say there's an academic portion. So you've met the rigorous standards on an academic portion. And then lastly, there's an experience piece. So when you say I'm a CPHR, they know, okay, this person is both educated and experienced. They know what they're talking about. I'm going to listen to them. So it commands a level of respect, which is fantastic. I think we all want to be respected. Before I forget, I do want to give a shout out that Mount St. Vincent University has met the very high threshold that we have for the academic standard. Okay, so anyone that's not at the Mount, they're studying psychology, or they're studying HR, or they're studying somewhere else, they will graduate and they'll have to take a bunch of courses. Typically, it's nine courses, and they write a very difficult exam. Graduates at the Mount, is specific to the BBA program with the this major in tongue-tied strategic human resources management. I got it out. They fast track. They skip all the 9 courses. They skip the exam, where the pass rate is only like 60 to 70%. So there's like almost half the people are failing them. You skip all of that at the Mount, which is fantastic. yeah, I think that's good.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Nick. Very similar. Megan, talk to us about the benefits of becoming a member of CPA Nova Scotia, and how does being accredited as a CPA impact career growth among accountants?
Yeah. So I feel like I jumped the gun a bit on the first
That's
question.
okay. That's okay.
So like I said, like once you're like a full member, you kind of get access to like the network of CPAs, and you also get networking opportunities, the volunteering opportunities to participate on boards. A lot of boards like to have CPAs on them to help with like the financial side. And then there's also the education and training pools. And then more about the career path in general. Typically, as a CPA, it would help you actually kind of obtain those like higher level opportunities in the finance and accounting world. I know even if in an industry perspective, like that's where you're going to get into the controller position, the CFO position. Like they want to see those letters. They want to know that you've done that extra training, the extra education. It is quite an intensive 2-year program, and there's quite a bit to learn, even coming out of university and going into the program. Any CPA you talk to will say that it is a difficult 2 years. And the 3-day exam at the end of the 2 years is not a breeze, but it's worth it. And like you learn so much throughout that time. And then even from like working at firm's perspective, as a CPA, like then you become a manager, and then you kind of can work your way up, and eventually, hopefully, a lot of people dream of becoming the partner, and it's what allows you to be able to release this set of financial statements. So I guess that's about for the career development. Yeah,
That's wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
And our next question after this round here, we'll be talking about just sort of exploring how do you obtain the professional credential for each area here. So we'll focus on that again as well. Belinda, I wanted to ask you the same question. Key benefits of being a part of CIM, and how does becoming a CIM holder or the other accreditations impact career growth?
Okay. So I think, when we look at what an employer is looking for when you're presenting a resume, I echo the other comments on the panel here as well, is they're looking for, beyond your education, how are you engaging your profession? How are you looking at the job you're applying for, and what have you done that shows that you not only have the educational background to support that position, but also have the interest in the profession. Most professions require some level of passion to go with them, and working in management for many years, like I have, you do need to keep it, because to do the long haul in this world with the ever-changing environment, it's really important to have that passion, and also to be able to stay current in your profession. Chartered Managers of Canada, as a member of our association, we give you that access to those practical management and leadership skills that can put you in touch with like-minded individuals, people that this is their career, people that have been doing this career for many years in many different sectors of the world. We have people that are very heavily involved in the trades, in construction, in industry, healthcare, where I am, education, the education sector. So it's and many of those management skills are transferable across sectors. They're all people. We're dealing with people. We're managing people, managing processes, developing strategies, dealing with the world as it turns upside down on a regular basis. So I think some of the key benefits of being a member is really having that network of like-minded people, and access to resources that are going to support you in your career.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Julia, I wanted you to speak to this as well, if you may. The key benefits of becoming a member of which we all are, the Halifax Chamber of Commerce, and how being associated with the chamber could impact or does impact the career growth?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. So I'm 31, so I was a student, it seems like forever ago, but I remember I took business at Acadia in HR, actually. I majored. And I agree with everything you said. People are great. Yeah, so I remember there was a career day and a bunch of executives came to the school, and basically we had a free-for-all to connect with them, tell them our names, try to get a job with them. And I remember standing with someone from Bell, and I was like, I'm very confident, but I was nervous. What do you relate to them on? How can you connect with them? You're basically trying to sell yourself as a student to say, hey, I'm awesome, hire me. And it can be really difficult because there's that barrier of experience. But when you're a chamber member, you're in rooms with those executives at the same event, sharing knowledge and experiencing that event together. So I think when it comes to career growth, that would be the largest takeaway, is that you're not there. You are there as a student under MSVU, under your membership, but you can go there, wear your business clothes, and be discussing really high-level topics, intellectual topics, when it comes to economics, finance, the government, HR, accounting, and you can connect with those professionals on the same level. So I think as a student, that would be something that I would really encourage you to take advantage of. Again, it can be tough to go into a room with 200, 400, 800 people, which our events bring in. But trust me that when you graduate, to be able to go to that employer and you already have that relationship developed is a huge value. Like, you already have that personal connection with them because you were sitting at the same table as them at a chamber event, which is really great to reference, So I think that would be the biggest career advantage, is playing on the same level as executives that you want to work for.
That's wonderful. Nick, how to follow up?
Yes. I know Julie seems like a very trustworthy person, but at the end of the day, that's where she works, so she has to plug this. So I'm gonna throw you a bone here. I have nothing to benefit by plugging the chamber, so I will say that I've experienced exactly what you were teasing there. So I went to a chamber event and I sat down, and there was like the who's who in the business community is at the tables, and I'm just sitting there and enjoying the event. And there's networking opportunities typically at their events, and so we're having conversations. And by the end of this event, I think it was like an hour and a half, I was getting a job offer, but like there was no job interview. It was just a discussion. It was like, hey, would you be interested in HR director position? I'm like, what? What is happening? I just had lunch with you. We met like 2 seconds ago. So I just want to, I know you're trustworthy.
No, it's a great testimonial. I love it.
Yeah. Testimonial goes so much further.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay. Question number 3, if I can address this, we'll start with Megan, then we'll go to Belinda and back to Nick, because we're going to talk about how do you obtain a professional credential of your association. So we have a captive audience here of students here and online, and our hope is that they're aspiring to take advantage of these accredited programs. So take us behind the scenes. How would a student go about obtaining a professional credential, and what advice would you give our students who are interested in pursuing it?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a list of prerequisites to be able to get into the CPA program, and they're on the CPA. I believe it's on the Atlantic School of Business website, and you would get those typically through doing your degree with a major in accounting. There is sometimes a few very specific courses that are not required to complete a full degree, so it's really good to check those out before you're kind of planning that your third year, fourth year, kind of have a look at those. That being said, you can do them after you complete a degree. I was one of the people, I did one of the prerequisites through CPA. They have what they call a prep program, and it kind of covers a lot of the specific prerequisites. So if you weren't able to take it during your undergrad, you can take it afterwards, and then you complete it through them, and then you can start the program. The actual course itself, it is made up of 6 modules. So you have your core 1, your core 2, and then you get to pick 2 electives out of 4. And for me, I did tax and assurance, where I work in a firm. However, a lot of people in industry, or sometimes depending on the other jobs, there is also finance. And the other one, I believe, is people management. So there is other options that you can do. However, when you're in a firm, they do want you to typically do the tax and assurance. And then once you complete your electives, you then have what they call a capstone 1, where it's basically this huge, gigantic group project for 2 months that you write a huge report on, and then you do a presentation to the board at the end of that. And then you go into what is called your capstone 2, which is a 2-month prep to write the 3-day exam at the end. So the 3-day exam, it's the first day, it's based on that big group project you did. The second day is based on your specialty of choice. So you would choose from, if you did assurance and tax as your electives, you would then choose either assurance or tax to write your day 2 on. And then your day 3, it's basically a makeup of everything you learned over the 2 years in your CPA program. And each exam is about 5 hours. So it's quite long. You definitely, normally a lot of us, you take the week off after you write it. Because it is, you definitely don't feel like yourself by the time you're done the 3 days. Your brain has just left the building. But for actually starting the program, I would, like I said, if you're not sure about the prerequisites, you can always email them to get an evaluation and to see what you're missing. Because I know like some people will do that and then they'll be like, oh shoot, I didn't get to take this one. But it's not too late. And yeah, and then once you're done the program, I guess technically throughout, just depending on where you do your work experience, you're either going to be in a pre-approved program, or you're going to have to do your your reporting for your work experience will either have to be done, like it's kind of already pre-filled in because you're in the pre-approved route, or you will have to do some extra steps, like if you were at typically if you're in industry, or like if you were working in finance at a law firm, or if you're working at CRA, like it's not always a pre-approved route. It's typically only the actual accounting firms that have the pre-approved route. But you do need 30 months of practical experience, and you do need specific like hours requirements within that. And then once you get through the education and the practical experience is when you get awarded your CPA designation, and you actually get membership into CPA Nova Scotia. So it's quite a long journey, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
And then I think for advice, yeah, I feel like for advice would just be if you're looking to get into it, like if you're like, oh, I do really want to pursue my CPA, I haven't had luck getting an place of employment that does a pre-approved route, but I know I would love to do it through a firm. Just start the program if you can. Because I find like once you get through that first course, if you haven't found anything, like it kind of gets your foot in the door, places it a bit more to be like, hey, like I took the initiative here, like, and I find that can be really helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nick's going to jump in and then we'll go to Belinda. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So actually, I think I'm going to piggyback something Belinda said. Similarly, with the CPHR designation, there's some global recognition. So we've got mutual recognition agreements in a few countries, UK, US, similar. But we also have Nigeria and Sri Lanka. And so there's recognition both ways. They will recognize ours, we'll recognize theirs. So one pathway is to transfer in from one of those countries with their designation. I'd already mentioned that there's 9 courses. There's an academic portion, so 9 courses, an exam's not 3 days. Thank God. That sounds I was exhausted listening to you. It's a 3-hour exam, a lot more manageable. And then there's an experience piece. And as I mentioned before, the Mount actually has met our threshold. So they've actually, Nick worked very hard on this. Nick and I worked together on this as to how we know each other. So we're looking for an 80% competency framework match, and the PBA in SHRM here has met that. If you're not in that program, if you're in a diploma program or another major, that's okay, because we do take equivalencies. So if you've taken some HR courses or even finance is one of the competencies that we're looking for. So finance, health and safety, recruitment, all of the different, I won't go through all of them, but you can transfer those in. And then internally within our organization, we have our own academic program as an alternative to universities or colleges. And if you transfer in no more than 5 of the 9, so you have to take at least 4 with us, then in that scenario, you would get our certificate and you could waive the exam. So there's a few different routes you can go. And in particular, there's several ways where you can avoid writing the exam. What else? So the experience piece, the last step, the experience piece is really dependent on what level of education you have. The higher the level of education, the less experience that we need. So if you have a degree, then we only need 3 years of experience. And then we even accept anyone that's got a high school graduation, but then we're looking for 8 years of experience. So really there's a range between college, university, and high school. So what was the second piece?
Second piece was advice to give to students who are thinking about pursuing the accreditation. Or the
Say again, sorry?
It would be the advice you would give to students that are interested in it.
Go to the mountain, take the PBA, sure, fast track through everything. I think that'd be the easiest. Other than that, as I said, transfer in whatever credits you have, and if you can take at least 4 with us, possibly more, but a minimum of 4, then you get to waive that exam. It's gotten to the point where very few people fall into that weird category that they're not able to transfer over credits and take some courses with us. So the exam is becoming less and less. It's more of a safety net for folks. So there's many different routes you can go to avoid this exam. It's not as long, but probably it's as difficult. Our pass rate is very low for folks writing that exam. So you do want to avoid it. And if you can get a diploma, another thing on your resume, why not? Yeah. So it's like a win-win, right? 2 birds, 1 stone.
Thank you, Nick, for putting that plug out. I owe you the $100 out of the deal, right? The Mount students. Okay, I'm sorry. Belinda, yes, similar questions. Same question. Requirements. Tell us about the pathway. Take us behind the scenes, and any advice that we give to our students here who are interested in perhaps pursuing it.
All right. So I think a lot of our programs are a little similar in pathway to get to them. So there are various pathways to achieve either a certificate in management, which is our CIM, or our chartered manager designation. There are several organizations, educational organizations that have accredited programs. So similar to the HR, you can transfer in if you've been at another institution, studied overseas. We kind of will take a look at what you have and fit it in. There are, we have there's an 8 course kind of core, and the 8, there is a little variation in a few of them that, it could be this one or this one. But generally speaking, for your certificate in management, it is an 8 course requirement that can come from study at any of our institutions that are accredited. I myself took 2 of my courses came from the Mount. Yes, I was a student here many, many years ago. So yeah, you could come either with them. They could be in tandem with a program that you're already enrolled in. So if you're in a BBA, chances are you're going to have all our requirements. So from that pathway perspective, if you become a member of CIM and you take the courses that are required to become certified in management, you would be granted your certificate in management along with your either diploma or degree program. Another pathway kind of for the more experienced professional or somebody that has already holds a degree. If you have a management related degree, a BBA, a master's, there's a few of them. I don't know them all off the top of my head. And 48 months of professional management experience, you would be eligible for your chartered manager designation. And that is our I would call our premium designation is a chartered manager. Another route for chartered managers, we do have people that have completed their education or have a lower level of education. They don't hold a degree but have worked in industry for many years, and they want that designation. They want to be recognized for the skill set that they have grown and developed in their career. So we have a pathway where any post-secondary degree plus the completion of a management aptitude evaluation, which is pretty rigorous. I'm glad I didn't have to do it. But it's meant to be. We really want to be designating at the chartered level, people at the highest level of their profession. But it is a pathway for folks. It's a pathway for folks that either have, like I say, another post-secondary degree, could be in anything, and but now your career is bringing you to a place where you'd like to enter the management field. So that is the other pathway. We are an organization that loves to work with people. So we want to support any person that is a member. We would like to support you in, recognizing your career path and to get you to whatever level of designation you'd like to achieve. Like I said, a lot of our national board members are actually we have a lawyer, we have a chartered accountant, we have they're all very passionate about their career paths and how CIM fits in very nicely with it. And that, it's, if you have a CPA and you want to have a chartered manager with it, great. We're going to help support you to get you there. And as far as advice, I would definitely take advantage of the opportunity to become a member of our institute. It is free for our students, and from there, start to, really dive into the information that's available to you. There's lots of information on how to pursue different careers in business there, and lots of support and people that also, as I said, are like-minded and want to grow our professions as well. So and then just tailor your course selections to fit, as you're making your course selections, tailor them to fit what pathway that you're going to choose in the future.
It's wonderful. Thank you. I want to shift the conversation if I can, and Julia, I'll have you start us here. Trends. So what are you seeing from your perspective at the Chamber regarding business at large, and how should young aspiring professionals prepare to navigate those challenges, and in particular, the competitive job market? So that's a compounded question.
Yeah, I was like, there's a
lot of questions in that one.
So the trend, I would say, just based on our membership, it's made up of about 2,000 unique businesses. And I would say a trend is moving more towards consultants. So a lot of small businesses join the Halifax Chamber. I mean, it's pretty broad. We have the law offices, the universities, and whatnot, but a lot of our membership is based out of small business. So I would say small business is a trend. So if you're an individual looking to go on your own path, or maybe with a friend, you can come to Chamber events and engage with the benefits that we provide. The second part was how to navigate challenges in the business world.
These trends and challenges, yeah.
I would say continue to be curious. As a student, I think, you have a textbook, you have your curriculum almost kind of laid out for you, right, of what you need to do. But I think it's really important to be curious in life. So the great thing about the Chamber is that because anyone can join, you don't have to be a registered business. You can join as an individual. There's lots of opportunity to meet people in every field that you can possibly think of, and we actually categorize all of our members. So you can go on our website, and if there's a particular industry that you're interested in, you can click on that and see all of our members in that industry, connect with them and say, hey, I'm a chamber member with MSVU. I'd love to get a coffee sometime. So I would say continue to be curious about the world, about what's going on in business and politics, even though it can be kind of drab. I think if you are able to relate to any of it, I think it can be really interesting. And then the third is
Advice to students.
Advice to students, generally speaking.
Yes. To stay competitive in the job market or to navigate these challenges.
Right. Yeah. I would say advice for students navigating your career after leaving school or even currently is, it sounds kind of cheesy, but continue to be who you are. I think it's really important to be genuine in the world of business. I go to a lot of events and I'm in membership services, so I love to connect with people on more of a organic and authentic level. So I think, going into a room, it can be challenging because you're like, oh, what am I going to talk about? I'm shy. And even myself, I get that way. But I think if you're a kind person and you lead with authenticity in the world, even in business or tourism, I think you're going to do really well. So that would be my biggest advice. And it goes back to kind of being curious about industries. This is a business administrative room, but I think it's important to have a wide range of knowledge. You don't have to be an expert in everything, but I think it's really great to be able to talk on different points in life. And you wouldn't believe how many business people really appreciate just being grounded and wanting to connect with them and learning about what they do and what inspires them in life. I think that's a really great way to lead your life as a student, but also going into your careers is just be authentic to who you are and work really friggin' hard. I think it's important to take time to balance your life, sleep when you need to, don't push yourself because sleep is important. But I think working really hard, being a driven individual and having that ambition combined with being genuine, you're going to kill it in life, especially in Nova Scotia, because we're really down to earth people. So that would be my career advice going forward. Yeah.
I'm feeling so inspired, right?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Nick, you got to help us out here. What are the trends in HR? What advice can we give to students? What are you seeing in that wonderful world? And leave us inspired, as I'm sure you will.
I'll try to tackle all of that at the same time. I won't break it down. And I'll try and take this from an angle of HR so you don't get repetitive answers. So from an HR perspective, but I think this actually, it's not just HR. I think what I'm about to share too is a leadership thing too, but certainly with an HR oversight piece to it. Technology is just crazy. It's so hard to keep up. So a lot of people that fall into HR or leadership, they have that thing for people, right? They know how people tick and they want to motivate people. They're cheerleaders or nurturers or supporters. But you can't ignore, you can't just focus solely on that because technology, as we all know, is just going so fast. I mean, I'm reading as much Gen AI stuff as I can right now because I'm so afraid I'm going to fall behind. But Gen AI is immersed all throughout HR now. Like if you're not there, you've already fallen behind. So it is screening out applications, right? So when you're applying for a job, and AI is going through it most often. The workplaces now have chatbots where you're not going to the HR department and asking like, what is a revocable beneficiary on my benefits plan. You put that into the chatbot and it spits out an answer. Data. There's so much data in the HR department. I think that's something that we've sat on forever for too long and not realized that there's evidence-based decisions that can be made by drilling into the data. And I think you're seeing a change now, but historically, if you found an HR person that was good at data mining, you found a unicorn. That person was very hard to find. And when you did find them, you basically had to double their salary because everybody wanted that person. So if you have that mindset that where you can dive into spreadsheets, but you're really good with socializing and engaging with people and reading people's body language, you put those two things together, you are a valuable asset to any organization. Sort of on the technology side too, it's just the hybrid workplace. We haven't mastered it. There's a push and pull. There's organizations that are all in and then they start to back off and then they want to go full the other way. And you're seeing that with the government now they're forcing all their staff to go back into the office. So mastering that hybrid environment, I think, is a really important trend to figure out. And then the last piece, and this is hyper focused on HR, is we're sort of calling it the employee experience 2.0, right? It wasn't just about giving someone a good job and treating them with respect, but it's more holistic now. Of course, my phone's ringing. It's more holistic. It's about taking care of the mental health and wellness, right? It's not just that. It's figuring out smoke cessation programs for the staff, having walking clubs. You know, it's just taking care of every part of taking care of the community, the ESG. There's just so much more to it now. So how to prepare? Sorry, one other thing I wanted to touch on too. Thank God we still live in Canada. I apologize to anyone that's from the USA, but what they're going through right now, in particular with DEI. I mean, DEI is like being canceled in that country, and it's heartbreaking to watch. We're in Canada. A lot of employers still see that as being a top, like, 1 or 2 priorities. They're taking care of their staff. They're building genderless washrooms. They're sharing pronouns to normalize, the use of pronouns. And so that's a trend that is here for good. I don't see that going anywhere. And built into that too is truth and reconciliation. We can't ignore that. I think that's an important trend. It's not a trend. It's here for good. And then just how to prepare. I think I hate saying this because it sounds like a lot of work's gonna be thrown at you, but we expect people to be flexible now. And it's not because you have to multitask and do all these things, but it's just like the change is constant. I don't know if it's ever going to slow down. It doesn't seem like it. Every time you figured out, okay, we're going to do it this way, then there's technology that changes it, or there's a different direction, or there's a book that has this, this new direction of taking your leadership. Whatever it is, you constantly have to be flexible. This leads me to a tip. Similarly, one career advice I'll share is when you go to an interview, when you're meeting this employer for the first time, smile. And it seems so silly, but like, it demonstrates, even if it's not at the conscious level, the person engaging with you is like, hey, this person's a positive person. I feel like they're going to roll with the punches. They're going to figure out these changes. They're not going to be a negative Nelly and be like, oh, another change. Like, this place, hey, we're constantly changing things. I hate it here. I hate it here. A smiler is more apt to roll with things and be adaptable and flexible and change at a lightning fast pace. Yep, I think that's it.
Perfect. Excellent.
Thank you.
You hit the mark. Wonderful. Wonderful. Megan, talk to us about what you're seeing in accounting very similarly in terms of trends, and what advice would you give to young aspiring professionals to navigate those changes?
So I guess for trends, the big ones would be like AI and data analytic tools. I know, like, at least for our office, for sure, we've started getting more into using AI for like the little tasks, like, instead of me having to type up this big email to like connect with this person, or you put some info in there, it pops something out, and you can kind of get it sent away. And then even with data analytics, with like performing different like audit review engagements with like planning, it's really helped us take care of like those smaller things pretty quickly, and then you can spend your time on like those big, like more risky, more challenging areas. So it's not like the people are going away by any means, but it's just like being able to take advantage of these like new and great tools that come out. So I think it's like really important to kind of stay on top of those and try to learn as much about them as you can. There's so much with it, and I know even like me, like sometimes I'm like, what's this one now? Like, but as long as like there's someone to teach you, or maybe there's a YouTube video, like something like that, just to kind of stay on top of those like new things that are coming out in that area. And then advice would be, you said it was advice for navigating those changes.
Yeah, navigating those challenges, changes, anything in that area. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think would be taking that initiative to learn. I think a lot of the the changes that happen across industries. Like, it's new to everybody. No one is going, I mean, I'm sure there is probably someone out there that is an expert, but not everybody is going to be an expert. So even just kind of having that leg up over somebody to be like, oh, well, I actually, like, I've used this, and I know about this data analytics software, like it can do this, and I used it. I think it's really helpful because not everybody is going to know how to use those. So if there's anything that you can kind of get ahead of there, I think that's really important. I think that was it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hearing a common theme about being resilient and being able to go with the flow. So on that note, Belinda, talk to us about what you're seeing in your industrious career of over 30 years in management, and what little bit of advice you would give to students to help prepare to stay competitive or navigating these changes.
As I'm listening to the others on the panel, it's funny. I have a few notes and everything on my notes they have mentioned, and because I do believe that across all industries and all professions, the challenges are the same. I have worked. I am into my 35th year in the healthcare sector, so. Mass change. I'll reflect on a conversation I had yesterday with one of the new managers that does the same role as I do, is also a business manager, but newer to the role. And I said, it's, I'm getting closer to when I can retire. And I said, you know what? And it's actually at a point in time in my career where I'm actually as new as everybody else. Like the experience that I've been dragging along with me for the past 30 years is not that it's not valuable, but it's been such a rapid change in management tools and strategies and technology and everything else that's going on that I'm no longer the person that's holding all the knowledge anymore. I'm learning as I go, and it's actually very exciting at this point in time in my career. So I often do say to folks, your career isn't about just your educational journey, it's about lifelong learning. And if you pursue a career in business management in any form, you're going to be a lifelong learner, especially now. I can kind of reflect to my earlier career where things didn't change a whole lot. It was kind of the same old, but in the past probably 10 years, it's just like rapid fire of change. I took a quick peek before I came today at our there's a blog, a CIM blog post, and the post today was on AI in corporate governance. So I haven't had a chance to read it yet because the site was actually down, but so I'm very interested to go read that. The one the other day was about navigating the job market. I, again, haven't had an opportunity to read through it, but I can almost guess a lot of it is going to be around, finding a pathway that makes sense for the passions that you have. Some of the big things in my industry right now that we're dealing with, we're dealing a lot with multi-generational workforce. So you have people like me that have been kicking around probably far too long, and then we have people that are entering, especially the management stream, at a much earlier time in their career. So there was a time when I could say to be a manager in healthcare, you would have minimum of 10 years, possibly more experience in a role and plus educational background before you were stepping into a management role. We have people that are, I'll reflect on a nurse, a registered nurse coming out of university, could be a health services manager, managing a large team with a massive amount of responsibility from everything from budget to HR to developing process and practice on the floor within 3 years of entering their career. So a big piece of that we're trying to promote now, not that we want to load onto more onto people that are studying to be healthcare professionals, is that they also should be really recognizing that they need to have some of these management skills, if that's a pathway that they hope to pursue at some point, because it's not going to be 10 years into your career. It's going to be much earlier. If you are showing promise, you're going to be asked at a much earlier time your career to step into a management role. So if you can tack on some of these skill sets along the way, and be members of organizations that are going to help promote that, it's going to really help you in your career. If I had advice for people that are coming into the workforce and interested in management, it's definitely to keep up on those current leadership practices. It changes overnight. And keeping an open mind to change, fostering respect and understanding within your workplace. There has been a huge shift in employer expectations. We're expecting more of our staff, and staff are expecting more of their leaders. So, certainly around that whole morale piece, the work-life balance, and finding balance even in our DEI strategies. Finding a balance in that supports the workplace, because it can very quickly drown an organization in some of these larger overarching initiatives that are happening. It sometimes actually can stall progress. So it's being that person that is willing to be agile and move forward with in spite of all those things. So being flexible, being agile, and being open-minded would be my advice.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, Nick, please. Yeah, please.
Sorry, just one quick comment. This is something that came to mind. I wish someone told me when I was in university. The first job you'll apply for, it'll say you need 1 to 2 years of experience. And you think to yourself, how the heck do you do that? I just graduated. So the magic phrase, remember this, transferable skills. I wish someone told me that when I was graduating. There's other stuff you're doing that can count as that 1 to 2 years. You immediately think like it has to be career experiences. No, it could be like volunteering with a soccer team, or your church, or you're part of an association in the university. You're involved in stuff, and then that stuff is transferable. You can say, I do have the 1 to 2 years of experience. It's not a traditional job, but I've got the experience.
Love that. That's so important. We talk about that in HR quite a bit in my classes. So thank you for that, Nick. I'm going to open up the floor for some questions, and for those of you who are online, please feel free to type in the chat. So we have an invaluable opportunity to hear from our 4 panelists, and you can ask them anything regarding accreditation, designation, trends, what the future holds in the field, anything at all. We would love to open it up to hear from you.
As an incentive, if you ask me a question, I've got prizes.
Oh,
if you're in the room.
Yes,
Sorry for folks online.
I think I saw a hand almost pop up there. Can I ask a question? No, okay. Yeah.
No questions at all?
Oh, look, here we go.
I have a quick question for you, Nick. So you mentioned that it's a total of 9 courses, correct? And so 4 of them, it's mandatory to take with you, or okay?
No, not quite. So, so there's 9 courses that need to be taken. So you could take all 9 with us, and then you waive the exam. It's just if you dip below 4, if you only take 3 with us and you transfer, say, 6 from the Mount, then you're below our threshold where we don't give you a certificate. So to get our certificate, it's got to be at least 4 or all 9, meaning you could not transfer more than a maximum of 5.
Okay, and then you would avoid the exam.
Then you'd avoid the exam as well. You take at least 4. Anywhere between 4 to 9. If you take, if you're between 4 to 9 courses with us, then you waive the exam. If you dip below 4 and you transfer in all the rest, then you're taking the exam.
Thank you.
Can I throw it at you?
Oh, wow. Right. Yeah. Oh, no. He comes with promises here.
It's Hugo, our Slav.
So for Megan, I know for CPA, we have to do majoring in accounting in university to be able to go in. But however, for Belinda and Nick, so do I have to majoring in either HR or management to be able to get in, or?
There is a group of, we have, I think it's 8 core courses. So they would be courses that would already be likely part of your degree program. start with. So organizational behavior, management finance, strategic management. I won't be able to remember them all.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Communications would be one of them. So they're likely already part of your program that you're taking, whether it be a BBA or if you're majoring in finance or HR or whichever.
So it certainly is easier. It's an easier path if you're studying HR, but if you haven't, it just means you have to take classes. You have to take courses with us or a college or a university to satisfy the 9 courses, which would open up the exam for you. So we have a lot of folks, it's not uncommon. There's a lot of folks that will study psychology, but they don't want to become a psychologist or do social. There's a lot of different avenues they can go, and one of the avenues is HR. So they will have often ticked off organizational behavior, which is one of our requirements, but then they'd have to take 8 more courses as an example.
Wonderful. I have a question. I have 2 online. This one is for Belinda. The question is asking, can I apply for the designation now, or is it only after I graduate?
You can, depending on what your background is coming into it, you can apply, once you're a member of the Institute, you can apply for your certificate or for your chartered manager, depending on the courses that you hold and your experience piece, that it would be all evaluated as part of your application.
Wonderful. And I have another question, and just to put him in a very awkward position, is for Nick. Question is, I would like to know if the HR accreditation is the same in other provinces. Is there a national one that's recommended if we aren't from Nova Scotia? And just to put a background on here, because of our program can be completed entirely online. Our BBA, we do have students who never really set foot on campus at the Mount, but live all across Canada or in other places in the world. So how would they might go about doing the CPHR designation?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a straightforward answer. It is a national designation. So I said before, it's recognized internationally. It's also recognized nationally. So every province across Canada, if you end up, you can only have it in one province. So if you are not in Nova Scotia, you're somewhere else, let's say you're in Alberta, that's no problem. You can have in Alberta despite studying in Nova Scotia. Or the reverse, if you're here, you can always transfer to Alberta if you're moving back home. So it's national. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question.
Hello there. So I heard this term, like, from a lot of you, the term AI used a lot, and especially now recently, people are, especially like corporations are like, well, mainly like the average civilian, I've been fearing the word AI because of all these news organizations trying to make it look like, oh, they're going to take over our jobs. Right. However, I wanted to get your input on how, whether or not AI is actually more beneficial for your work or your field or your corporation, or whether or not it just be less or be more harmful than good.
So for this one, for our field, especially in accounting, at the end of the day, AI cannot do the job for you. It can help with, for example, we use there's a data analytics software. We use it to actually help us select samples for testing, but it can't test the samples for us. We have to go in, we have to get all the invoices from the client, and then we have to compare those. It could help with scoping account balances to be okay, this one we don't need to look at, but this one we have to do additional work. We still need to use our judgment to be able to decide what kind of work we're going to perform over a client's financial statements and that sort of stuff. So the people are not going anywhere. AI, it can help with some of the processes to help streamline those and make our jobs more efficient. And then you get to use your people for those more challenging tasks, difficult tasks, things that do require that higher degree of uncertainty. And further to that, if you I don't know if there's anybody who is taking accounting in the room, but there is certain accounting standards, and we need to evaluate those to be oh, well, they got this, they had purchased equipment, but they had decided to expense it, and we need to evaluate it against the standard or XYZ there's a lot of things like that that AI doesn't do. It's a judgment call. It's also like discussions with the client. So it's definitely not going anywhere. It just helps make the job a little easier.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you for your input.
I'd love to spend an hour talking about this one. Like, you have no idea how loaded, in my opinion, how loaded that question is. And oh my God, I'm probably gonna like turn you all into tinfoil hat wearing people, but I do believe it's going to take jobs away. And I know I'm not in the popular opinion saying that, but I will tell you that there's a famous saying that's being said all over the place right now. And it is, AI will not take your job. It's the person using AI that will take your job. That's a very popular phrase that's being said. It came from Silicon Valley. The companies that are working on AI right now, they are losing billions of dollars annually. But they know that once they crack this code, like the amount of computing required to support the instantaneous responses you get, it's just not sustainable. And you have to wonder yourself, how is this working? And so it is most definitely going to take jobs. Once someone figures out how to make this a profitable thing, I think a lot of jobs are going to disappear. And I kind of laugh watching Trump, trying to protect all these manufacturing jobs. He's trying to with all these tariffs and trying to create give rebirth to the manufacturing jobs. I mean, I think it's not the 70s, it's not the 60s. I would not want to be in America right now trying to secure those types of jobs. I think the jobs that you're describing and that HR has too, there's still an element of some gut and some creativity that AI has yet to figure out. I think that day might come, and this is really the tip of the iceberg right now. This is like when they invented electricity and they're like, oh, cool, we can turn on a light bulb now. They hadn't even thought about self-driving cars. We are on the tip of something massive. And so I think for now, I think that's the appropriate answer. It's not going to take the white collar jobs, the information based positions. I think manufacturing is going to go really fast. So a big mistake on Trump's part, in my opinion. But yeah, if you hear that phrase, that's coming from people that are trying to monetize this thing.
Wow. Thank you. One more question, actually. Do you have another stuff?
Well, we're just going to get, no, it's okay. We're going to get Belinda here on this one. And then, your final question.
Oh, because I have to put my management hat on.
No, this is
but one thing, I mean, I can remember years ago that a brother of a friend of mine was he said, oh, I'm studying artificial intelligence. And I'm like, what? Is that spaceships and aliens or what? Anyway, but yeah, here we are this many years later. But I think the one thing that can get lost in AI is, and all the conversations around AI and all the things that it can do, is that it'll never replace that human aspect. You know what I mean? When I think about my day now, and we have, especially in healthcare, we're all about AI and technology. Just everything's being driven by technology right now in that sector. There's absolutely no replacement for management, solid human to human, face to face management. Those are skills that, unless we're all just working in little bubbles, little spaceship bubbles, you're always going to have to really build on those solid people skills in order to be able to function a workplace. The computer can't do it all.
The very last question.
It was just a stuffed animal thing. It's okay.
Okay. He wants the stuffed animal, Nick.
I'm like,
Hugo.
Okay.
This conversation has been so rich. And I apologize, we have to cut it short. We are now over time. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of the Department of Business and Tourism, both faculty and students and our staff, we wanted to thank each of our panelists, Julia, Megan, Belinda, Nick. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, sharing with our students. I am sure they are open to connect with you, network, LinkedIn, here in person. So please don't be a stranger. Please don't be shy. But if you could, just give them a round of applause for their time today. This was wonderful.